All right, Brett Lauther, you go from Truro, Nova Scotia. It's one of the friendliest places in the world, probably, and then you end up in Regina, Saskatchewan, which is just the western version of where you're from. It took you a while to kind of really find your home in the Canadian Football League, even though you've been around for a while. What made Regina such a, perfect fit for you and becoming such a legend in the CFL in that market?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the biggest thing is just the people there, very similar to kind of back home. Not only that, just it's one of the smaller population markets in the CFL, and I'm from a smaller place, so it was a good fit. And in my opinion, it's the best place to play football in Canada. So it was a pretty easy transition, and we have a great organization, staff, and they always help as well. So for me, it was a no-brainer.
We got to play some golf together down here in Florida. We'll call it pressure-packed golf a little bit. And I think I've always looked at PGA players and it's like, man, how do you stand over a ball and make that shot with so many people watching? I don't have a reference point, but you do, man. Like, you're out there with the game on the line and you're kicking a ball 50 yards through the uprights, and all the pressure in the world is on you. And if you miss it, the kicker is such an easy guy to blame. How do you prepare for those moments and kind of deal with all the extracurriculars that come with that?
I think just you kind of been preparing for it your whole life, right? And it's a position I chose to play, and it's something you kind of want to, thrive in and be the guy to kind of help out the team and win games. And in those situations, I just treat it like every other kick. I think if you make the moment too big, it will be. And for me, you kind of want to instead be that moment. And, those are the things you kind of live for, especially kicking the ball. And you see how much work goes into it from the players and the organization, and how much the province cares. And the last thing I want to do is go out there and not be successful in those big moments.
So 1 second left on the clock. You guys call timeout. What is your mental checklist in the 30 seconds that you have?
I'm usually over at the net, just trying to make sure I hit a couple good balls, strike them well. Then, when I go out there, just try not to think too much. You go out, you pick your line, take your steps, recheck the wind. And after that, I've been very lucky with a great snapper and holder. And you just put a lot of trust in those guys, and then just go through, try to hit a good ball. And then after that, it goes to the uprights, and it's time to have some fun.
The one thing I've never quite understood about you is that, you weren't really a soccer player. Like, you played hockey, right? You played against Sid in Nova Scotia. Your brother got to play against Nathan McKinnon. And, maybe first and foremost, maybe I could be a professional athlete playing in the NHL. But it's not like you were so how did that even come about where you're like, oh, I'm really good at kicking this football? You weren't a converted soccer player. Yeah,
a little bit when I was younger, playing and stuff. And I think just having athletic background with a bunch of different sports, and being from out there, just trying everything growing up, and playing hockey. And I still play today, and I think it's important for a lot of kids to play different sports as well. And always kind of had a bit of a strong leg in soccer, or whatever sport it was, maybe a strong arm and stuff like that, and football and throwing balls and baseball, whatever it might have been. And just kind of worked out with football and kicking, and super lucky to where it's brought me today.
Because I have buddies in Regina, and they went to Tom, and a couple of them ended up playing for the Riders. But they said, yeah, John Ryan. They said he was a bit of a nerd about it. He'd go home at lunch hour and kick balls into the net. That was his whole life, and it worked out for him. He's borderline Hall of Famer, right? But that wasn't necessarily you.
Yeah, John, great friend, super lucky to have him as a holder. And I think that's the work ethic he had. He kind of knew his path, and that was what took him to the NFL and Super Bowls. And for me, just a great person to come across in life. And I was even talking to him just the other day, and he's just one of the best guys out there.
So you are over 30, so I don't want to say you're in the back nine of your career. Your position, there's been guys in the CFL that have kicked into their 40s, so who knows how much longer you have. But you do got the one thing missing on your resume, and that's a Grey Cup trophy. It's a Grey Cup ring. You've been super close, right? You guys have lost some heartbreakers in the division finals, but how much does that weigh into every off season, right? Is this going to be the year for you?
Yeah, I think that's kind of the main focus of the long off season and the grind is, you know, some days are tougher than others, but that's always in the back of your mind. I definitely think I'm on the back nine of my career. You know, I don't really want to play into my 40s, but who knows where it's going to take you. And I'm definitely going to try to play till the wheels fall off per se, but trying to win a Grey Cup and you know, that motivation, especially bringing one back to Sask after it's been about a decade now, it's the number one thing that's always on your mind.
Yeah, well, I mean, I grew up there, right? So, you know, Dave Ridgway and Paul McCallum, it's really cool to spend some time with you, and you're kind of the next guy in that line. So, you know, we wish you all the best this coming season. Maybe it's the year you get that ring.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you.